Now, to answer whether it's Vecna or the Mind Flayer that is the main villain of Stranger Things, or which one of the two is more powerful, we have to go into the origins and the minute details of these two entities. Let's begin with the Mind Flayer and then go on to Vecna. The Mind Flayer is the most terrifying entity to emerge from the Upside Down and the other alternate dimension, Dimension X, which are explored in Stranger Things. This shadowy spider-like creature seems to consist entirely of silver-black particles, all connected through a group or a swarm intelligence. It's absolutely massive, towering at least 50 stories tall, and exerts an almost godlike control over the Upside Down. Think of the Mind Flayer as the brain behind the entire ecosystem of that creepy alternate reality. It links everything together into one vast hive mind: demogorgons, demobats, the sentient vines, and even humans who were once possessed in the year 1985, which were known as the Flayed. Its origins, though, are a bit murky. In the show, Dustin compares it to the Dungeons & Dragons version of the Mind Flayer, describing it as a monster from an unknown dimension so ancient that it doesn't even remember where it came from. The entity may have originated in a mysterious dimension called Dimension X, but how it came to be is yet to be explained, or might never be known. Now, the Mind Flayer's relationship with the Upside Down is quite interesting. It essentially rules over it and also is an integral part of it. Its psychic control makes the entire dimension feel like one massive living entity. This connection isn't limited to the creatures of the Upside Down. When it managed to possess humans in the real world, they became extensions of its will, essentially bringing its hive mind into our reality. It is not just a creature, it is the ultimate puppet master, manipulating everything in the Upside Down and beyond. Then we come to the other entity, Vecna. So before the world knew him as Vecna, he was just Henry Creel, a boy with a dark secret. Born to Victor and Virginia Creel, Henry discovered that he had telepathic abilities, and instead of using them for good, he unleashed them in horrifying ways. Consumed by his power, he killed his mother and sister, leaving his father to take the blame. Then Dr. Brenner took Henry and made him the foundation of his twisted experiments, creating a new generation of children with telepathic abilities. When he tried to manipulate Eleven into joining him, she resisted, and in a fierce showdown 11 versus Vecna, Eleven tapped into her own strength and overpowered Henry, banishing him to the Upside Down. What happened next sealed Henry's fate. The Upside Down's bizarre, hostile environment twisted him both physically and mentally. The toxic atmosphere and constant lightning storms disfigured him, transforming him into the monstrous figure now known as Vecna. But Henry did not survive, he thrived. In this dark dimension, he became its ruler, seizing control of the creatures and taking charge of the Upside Down's hive mind. He even managed to manipulate the hive mind, the Mind Flayer, well, allegedly, and shaping it into a tool for his grand plans, shaping it, which was immaterial or somehow without shape, into a spider-like form. From the shadows, Vecna orchestrated much of the chaos we've seen in Hawkins and in the entire show of Stranger Things. His influence over the hive mind, the Mind Flayer, and the other creatures explains the malevolent force that has haunted the town since the very beginning. So the connection between Vecna and the Mind Flayer is as fascinating as it is ambiguous. In Season 4, Henry Creel reveals how his transformation into the monstrous figure known as Vecna began with a discovery in the Upside Down, a swirling sentient storm of shadowy particles. He describes this force as the most extraordinary thing that he had ever encountered and claims to have shaped it into something that allowed him to transcend his human limitations. This suggests that while the Mind Flayer existed in some form before Vecna, it was he who molded it into a terrifying force aligned with his own sinister ambitions. In essence, the Mind Flayer empowered Vecna, but it was Vecna's intellect and will that gave it structure and purpose within the Upside Down. While both Vecna and the Mind Flayer are immensely powerful, they embody very different kinds of threats. Vecna, formerly Henry Creel, is a deeply sinister figure precisely because of his human origins and nature and personal motivations. His ability to manipulate trauma and fear makes his attacks disturbingly intimate and psychological, giving him a sense of cruelty that feels all too real. The Mind Flayer, in contrast, operates more like a natural disaster, a vast impersonal force of destruction of cosmic horror driven by an instinct to consume and dominate. Its actions are not rooted in malice but in a mindless hunger for control, making it less personal but no less terrifying. Where Vecna's evil feels calculated and malevolent, the Mind Flayer looms like an unstoppable hurricane, cold and unrelenting. Comparing their power is complicated as both operate on such different levels. The Mind Flayer may hold greater raw power given its ability to control the entirety of the Upside Down and act as its driving force. It can dominate creatures like the Demogorgons, Demodogs and even humans, as seen when it possessed Billy Hargrove in Season 3. However, Vecna's strength lies in his intelligence and conscious control. He actively uses his powers to further a personal agenda, while the Mind Flayer's actions are more instinctual. A hypothetical battle between the two would be complex. Vecna's ability to tap into the hive mind of the Upside Down could give him leverage, but his psychological powers, relying on exploiting human minds, might not work on a being like the Mind Flayer. Their relationship and respective roles remain a mystery, but the final season may finally unravel this tangled web of power dynamics between Vecna and the Mind Flayer. So in short, Vecna is the entity that directs the massive psychic power of the Mind Flayer for a sinister purpose. Yet if the connection was temporarily severed, the Mind Flayer would easily devour or do away with Vecna with relative ease. In simple terms, Vecna is the switchboard for the lights in your house, while the Mind Flayer is the entire power grid. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Support us by liking and subscribing, and also share this video with your friends. They might not get the notifications or recommendations. Anyway, till the next time, take care fam.